Hi, all, and welcome to the session on DevOps. I hope all of you are doing well, and a very good morning to you all as well. Let us start then. Today, we will be discussing what exactly DevOps is and how exactly it is implemented, and what exactly are the tools which we are going to learn throughout the sessions. Whenever we talk about DevOps, we mean to automate the deployment process. Every organization, if they are designing any software, so they have to deploy it for the end users, and the deployment process is very tough, and that is the reason why we go for the automation, because it takes a lot of time. So the automation actually reduces the amount of time which is taken to deploy, and also it is very easy to manage the application deployment if we go with certain amount of tools. Right, let's try to understand how exactly all these tools are implemented and what exactly are the tools which we will be learning. So these are the two questions which will be answered today. Now I think everybody is able to see the flowchart which I have drawn on my screen. So I will take up an example. Let us say that all of us are running an organization called as teqstories. We have got a client who has a spectacular requirement. He is saying that you have to design a software which is totally similar to Netflix. I have all the developers in my organization. We all have the testers as well. Apart from that, we have few DevOps engineers also. Some cloud architects as well who are going to create the infrastructure over AWS cloud. Right, so these are the teams which are present in my organization. I will take that for an example, and the name of the software which we will be designing is Techflix. Okay, and that is totally similar to your Netflix. This application, we will have the availability of the movies, the series. Apart from that, let's say I will have some more functionalities, maybe something like the users can rate the movies as well. The users will be able to store the movies in their own local storage as well. All those features also we want to provide in this software. Let us see how exactly it is going to be implemented. So we will be implementing the DevOps. Okay, we will be implementing the DevOps process here. That means we will be implementing several tools, and all those tools will be playing certain roles. Deployment of the application will become easier through that. Let's start. So generally, let's say that at the beginning, we all know the basic structure. The developers have to create the application first, then only it will move ahead to the testing team. The testing team will test that specific application, and post that the deployment team is going to deploy that application anywhere. So we will start. Let's say I have a group of developers, right? So the developers started working over the Techflix software, and once they are working over it, they'll be creating a number of files, they'll be creating a number of solutions, and they'll be just ultimately designing the full software. So I am saying that okay, I will implement a source code management system, and the developers, they will have the authority to put their source code inside this source code management system. Now, source code is generally very difficult to manage unless and until you are using few tools for that, because the applications will be very huge. There shouldn't be any sort of conflicts, or there shouldn't be any sort of mismanagement of that, because it is the main code, and if there is even a slight percentage of error, the application will not run properly. It will be very easier for the people to manage the source code if they are using a source code management system. So that is the first thing which I will be doing, and I will be connecting that source code management system with the automation server. So there will be an automation server also which I will be launching. Now see, this is a kind of pipeline which I am creating here. Okay, so there are multiple things which are going to be here. We will have to go for the source code management system first, and then we will have to set up an automation server also. Now, what is the purpose of automation server? So automation server is going to play a very critical role in the application deployment. Overall procedure will be that the automation server will have the capability to connect with the source code management system and pull the source code with itself. Okay, so this source code, it is going to go inside this particular management system. From there, automatically it will be taken inside the automation server, getting it? And it is going to use a build tool to build the source code. Whenever anybody is creating any software, we always need to build that software as well. So building means packaging all the files which are there in the source code into one single file. So using a build tool, we will be segregating the whole source code, and we will be creating up a single file. So for now, I have taken up the source code and I have built it using the build tool, so that we can actually go for testing it, right? Because obviously after building the source code, we need to test it as well, isn't it? So we will go for testing that particular source code. So what would happen now? We will integrate an automation testing tool as well. Now see what is actually happening. So automation server is connected with your source code management. Then automation server is also connected with your build tool. So this build tool will be actually building the source code. Similarly, using the automation testing tool, test the whole source code. So the testing team will be providing us the scripts. We will have to run those scripts and we will have to test the whole source code. I am not saying that the whole application is going to be built at once, right? So we have to design the application in parts. One by one, whatever parts are getting finished, we need to continuously build them and we need to test it as well. That is called as your continuous testing. Okay. Whenever there is a module which has been uploaded by the developers, it is observed. The automation server automatically pulls the source code, it automatically builds it, and it automatically tests it as well. That is how easier the procedure has become now. So once the testing is done, what is the next procedure? The next procedure is of deploying that source code, isn't it? So for deployment, we have to go for something called as deployment tools. So there are multiple deployment tools which we will be learning so that we can deploy the source code over the production servers ultimately. You all can see how the flow goes. The source code comes from the management system to the automation server. Once the testing is done, automatically the server will be using the deployment tools and it will be deploying the source code over the production servers as well. So this is how much simpler the deployment procedure has become. Few of you might be thinking that it is a little bit complex here, but trust me guys, once you start understanding the concepts, it will be very easy for you. So we will be using several deployment tools to deploy the source code over the production servers. So production servers will be created using the containerization techniques. We will be learning about the containers, what containers are, what are the differences between containers and virtual machines later on. Now, apart from that, obviously the servers which are going in the production, they have to be managed and maintained all the time, isn't it? Sometimes we have to do certain changes in the configurational part. Sometimes we have to disable few servers and relaunch them again. So there are many steps which we have to keep on doing all the time over the production servers. So those tasks are taken care of by a configuration management tool. That is also what we are going to learn. Apart from that, we have to keep monitoring the servers as well. So monitoring also plays a very important role. So we will be learning a monitoring tool for that as well, help us in assessing how exactly the server's performance is. So all these things which are being done here, all these tasks are to be implemented by a DevOps engineer. So a DevOps engineer is solely responsible for, first of all, creating a pipeline. This is a kind of pipeline which I have built right now, in which I have connected a source code management system with the automation servers, and then I have connected the servers with the automation testing tools and building tools, even your deployment tools, right? Each one of these procedures here, right? So for source code management system, which tool we will learn, for automation server, which tool we will be learning, all those things I will be disclosing now. So as you can see, I have given some examples here. So for source code management tools, we have a list of these many tools available, right? We have Git, we have Calithia, Helix, GitLab, Bitbucket, Subversion, Mercurial. Out of all these, Git is the most famous one. It is the most widely used ones. The best part about the tools are that all of them are alternatives to each one. So that means if you learn one tool here, you will be very much flexible with all the other tools as well. It will not be a very big difficulty for you all to learn all this. So we will be learning Git. Similarly, the automation server, that means the continuous integration tool which we will be learning is your Jenkins. Okay. Few alternatives to Jenkins is your TeamCity, Travis CI, Circle CI, but Jenkins is the most widely used one. The deployment tools which we all will be learning is your Kubernetes, Docker Swarms, and Dockers. So these are the three deployment tools which we will be seeing throughout our sessions. Okay. Alternative to Kubernetes is your OpenShift and your AWS EKS, that is also present. The configuration management tool which we all will be learning is your Ansible configuration tool. Okay. Now Puppet and Chef is also being used in the industries, but it is actually coming out of the industry. People have switched totally to your Ansible. So we will be learning everything about Ansible in these sessions. Apart from that, the monitoring tool which we will be learning is your Nagios. There are other monitoring tools as well. We have Prometheus, Grafana, right? So there are multiple monitoring tools. We will be going on with Nagios. I will just list out the summary now. We will be going on with Git. With Git, we will be learning GitHub as well. Then we will be going on with Jenkins. Then we will be going on with your Dockers and Kubernetes and Docker Swarms. After that, we'll be going on with Nagios. Then we'll be going on with Ansible. Apart from that, we will also learn a build tool which is Maven, and we will also learn automation testing tool which is Selenium. You are not going to write down the scripts for your automation testing. There are going to be a different team which will be doing that task. But just to have an idea over how the testing field works, how exactly the things happen, you should be getting some knowledge over all the tools. Obviously, we will not be only learning these tools, we will learn how to create up a pipeline, how to implement a pipeline practically. We will also see how to deploy an application over the created pipeline practically. So that is what we all are going to learn throughout our classes, right? So I hope everybody has understood what the terms are, what exactly we are going to do throughout our sessions, right? So DevOps has proven to be a success. People have started implementing it at a very high speed. You all will be having a lot of scope in this industry in the near future.